Hello and welcome to the Story Engine podcast. My name is Kyle Gray, and today we're going to be talking about having a sales call with yourself. A sales call is one of the most intimate processes that you can go through with a person, listening to their dreams, listening to their fears and their worries, and speaking into them and providing a container for leadership and decision making that very few other places can. Also, if you're tuning in on YouTube, you may notice a slightly different background than my normal studio. I'm visiting my parents for the Thanksgiving week and hanging out in their office now. So, what if the most important sales call you'll ever make isn't with a client or a customer, but with yourself? And in today's episode, we're going to be exploring what it means to have a sales call with yourself and provide that same practice of intimacy, of self reflection, of intentional commitment, of enrollment into the life and identity that you want to create. So many of us, and myself included, I am the guiltiest of this, which is why I'm making this episode, focus outwardly on convincing others, closing deals, achieving goals. But how many of us do we stop and ask, am I fully enrolled in my vision? Am I truly committed to who I want to be and the identity that I'm stepping into every day? Can I be my own best client in what I am leading people into, which is such an important aspect of being a great leader? I want to share a story of a moment where I took myself through this process for the first time. It's late October, maybe early November of 2020, and the last few months have been a wild ride. Many of you are familiar with that, and you have your own stories of what happened during 2020, the most interesting year of most of our lives. I began this year with an agency with 6 team members creating funnels and speeches for my clients, and I was redlining my team before the pandemic hit and had to let them go. To be honest, I was not a great manager. I was adding on team members to increase the value of my products and services, but I wasn't really clear on what success looked like for all of us or having a really clear vision to lead us on the team. And instead, I would wake up fueled with anxiety and do whatever I could to bring in more clients and throw money on the fires that were cropping up. A lot of the times, my clients were very frustrated with my team, and my team was frustrated with my clients. People were happy with what I was doing and what I was providing, but that really wasn't good enough. And it was leading to everybody being stressed out and burned out and using brute force willpower to get through each day, doing what I thought I was supposed to be doing, trying to bring in more clients and, again, solve the problems with money instead of really reflecting and taking the time to figure out what was out of alignment. Also, in that year, I had ended a relationship that was a very painful process. This relationship on the outside looked like it was checking all of the boxes of what a successful life should look like, with home ownership in Salt Lake City, a nice neighborhood near many of my friends that I really enjoyed spending time with, but I was unhappy. And I was staying in this relationship out of appearances or fear or whatever the case may be. And now I'm waking up in a spare bedroom from my friend's house, totally blindsided by the world. My team is gone, partner's gone. Most of the things that I had been building in my life were all gone, and it was time for a fresh start. I decided I was in need of a break and took a 5-day vacation to the big island of Hawaii. I can remember a few days into that, being away from the laptop and the buzz and the doing of things for long enough to sit in the darkness in the evening of the jungles on the east side of the Big Island and taking some quiet time for myself, giving myself the first chance that I have had in a very long time to slow down. I took the time to listen to myself again, and the sounds of the jungle life reminded me of what inspired me to be an entrepreneur in the first place, of my days in South America and Southeast Asia, when I wanted to become an entrepreneur that could travel the world, live anywhere I wanted, and used my creativity to make an impact and to facilitate this process. I can remember many times in South America and Southeast Asia believing that anything was possible. But somehow, over the course of the last 6 or so years in building this business and doing what was needed to be done, in investing in things outside of myself and trying to look outside of me to solve all the problems, I had forgotten the spark that once inspired me. I had forgotten to listen to myself. And it was no doubt, it was obvious how I found myself in this situation in the first place. And so I began to write and listen. What did I want? Who did I want to be? And how did I want to make an impact in this world? I got honest with myself. The team I had built, I was using to hide behind because I didn't trust the value that I could add. And it was time to stop hiding. I looked up to the mountain of Mauna Kea through the trees and asked the island what it had for me. And it responded, "Stay and become yourself." And I recommitted to myself, and I owned my value and my power in a new way. And I started to explore the deeper transformation of the work that I did. It wasn't just about building a speech. There was more at play here that would continue to unfold over the coming years. And I began to reinvent myself. Bring myself back into alignment, and build a business that focused on the value that I could create instead of hiding behind a team. My 5-day vacation to Hawaii became 2.5 years and a profound time of reinvention of who I was and what I was doing in the world. Imagine having a sales call with yourself, listening to yourself share your dreams and visions, knowing everything that you know. Would you cut straight to the offer? Would you tell them, "I can help you, let's do it, let's dive in right away"? Or would you take the time to let them be heard? Would you be curious and open and ask questions and start to look deeper than what's on the surface? How would you treat their objections, their fears, and limiting beliefs? I've had my fair share of sales calls, and I've been on both sides of this equation. And I'll admit there's been times where I was not listening to the other person, just thinking about needing that sale, being excited to bring in the money and get the result, or simply knowing that I could help that person and going straight to the offer instead of actually taking the time to hear and serve and understand the person. And in sales calls, even if we have the solution, even if we have exactly what we need, there's something intimate and powerful and valuable in fully exploring this conversation with somebody. It is a service to them. And this is what I believe is necessary for ourselves. Many of us see our marketing, sharing our story, being who we are or sharing what we do as a chore that needs to be done, as a series of tasks and checklists instead of an adventure and a gift to share. We are often spending a lot of times doing what we think we're supposed to be doing instead of bringing ourselves back into alignment. A lot of the times we're willing to throw thousands of dollars in every direction to get help and offload those tasks, or looking for someone with some kind of silver bullet answer that can save us or help us. We do what others tell us we're supposed to be doing instead of listening to ourselves and creating what we want. And again, I'm guilty of all of this too, because there's a comfort in putting the responsibility outside of ourselves, giving away our power to somebody else and letting them take care of us, listening to others who promise the answers instead of seeking them for ourselves. And we could stand in many of these cases to be our own best clients, our own best success stories. And oftentimes, this is what is required of us to achieve what we really want. And ironically, we're often the most difficult person to give our medicine to. So, how do we enroll ourselves in ourselves? How do we come back into alignment with that vision? In many ways, it's like taking ourselves through the same transformational process that Ebenezer Scrooge went through in Charles Dickens' A Christmas Carol. Scrooge had many different ghosts show him aspects of his life, past, present, and future, and had to take the time and the space to separate himself from his day to day to really ask these questions and reflect on his own life story, the good, the bad, and the ugly, and create a new enrollment, the same process that we're discussing here. But we can't afford to wait for the ghosts of Christmas to come help us and bring us back into alignment. So, creating a sales call with yourself is about becoming crystal clear on who you want to become, the commitments you are making to that vision, and identifying the obstacles or limiting beliefs standing in your way. It's like a negotiation, but not with others, but with yourself. And just like in a sales call, you're identifying pain points, you're presenting solutions, and you're making a clear offer. But in this case, the offer is a commitment to your future self. So let's break this down into simple steps with questions to guide you. Now, this is something that you can do on your own in journaling, and I highly recommend it. But it is also 2024 at the recording of this, nearly 2025. And this is a process that can be assisted and facilitated with artificial intelligence. And so I'm going to leave you a prompt that you can copy and paste in the show notes of this episode to help guide you through this process. So the first step, clarify your vision. Ask yourself and take the time to understand, what is the ultimate vision for my life and my business? What are my core values? And how is this vision supporting those? For me, my vision is about leading a creative, meaningful, and impactful life where I get to help others discover their voice and their story and learn about myself through seeing it unfold in others. The next step, identifying obstacles and being honest with yourself about the biggest obstacles or limiting beliefs holding back from achieving this vision. Oftentimes, we would have a difficult time being honest with ourselves, and we would rather distract ourselves with action instead of trying to be clear on this. For many, it's a fear of failure, it's a procrastination, or even a sense of unworthiness. And simply being able to name these blocks is the first step to dismantling them. The next step is to reflect on past successes. How have I successfully overcome similar challenges in the past? And what strengths did I use? Oftentimes, we forget our own resilience and power through the day-to-day things. And if we can really remember the amazing things that we have done and achieved and respect and honor those in the way that they deserve, we can foster new energy and new inspiration. Next, setting specific goals. What can I do for myself in the next 6 to 12 months to move closer to that vision? And it's not just about setting goals that are ambitious to achieve that would sound good. Setting goals is not about creating something inspiring for people outside of you that would look good on social media once you've achieved it. It's about creating goals that are exciting and energizing and inspiring to you so that you can wake up in the morning and feel an excitement to move closer to that vision and create the steps that are in alignment with that, instead of looking outside of us and doing what we think we're supposed to be doing in order to achieve the business goals that we set. The next step and the next question is, what daily practices or habits can I implement to nurture my growth and stay aligned with my vision? For me, oftentimes this looks like journaling and really taking the time daily to listen to myself and my callings and reflecting on my commitments. And it's also about creating things that are exciting outside of my day-to-day work, like looking forward to creating new music and being able to power through my workday in order to have space and time to make the music that inspires me. Or being clear enough on my vision and where I was going and what it took to get there that I could take some time to make music first thing in the day and then be inspired and fueled by that process and carry that over into my work. All right. Now let's talk about some of the pitfalls and challenges that you might face in this process. The first one is overwhelm and procrastination, which is going to be the thing that most commonly distracts us. Oftentimes we feel overwhelmed and we procrastinate not by not doing, but by doing. We try and do the things that we're supposed to be doing instead of listening to ourselves or delaying taking action. And by starting small and committing to one simple practice and enrolling yourself in one thing every day. The next pitfall is impatience. A lot of these things that are worthwhile, you may not see results right away. And that's why having a vision that's powerful and recommitting to it and re-enrolling yourself in it consistently so that you can trust the process is working. It's being built on consistent small steps. And finally, the third pitfall, which is one of the biggest reasons why this doesn't happen for most of us, is self-criticism. This is why the sales call process is so important and visualizing it as such, because we need to be compassionate with ourselves, curious with ourselves, and take the time and space to go through this intimate and powerful process. This progress isn't always linear, and going straight to self-judgment is going to shut you down. And so, in summary, a sales call with yourself is a way that you can practice reconnecting with your vision, addressing and understanding the limiting beliefs that are at play in your life right now and are trying to steer the car of your life in every direction except the one that you want to go. And the way through this is committing to simple daily actions, which could simply be listening to yourself, to becoming the person that you want to come. It's a process that you can revisit anytime you feel stuck, lost, or in need of clarity. And imagine what's possible when you can start to enroll yourself in your highest vision and how it would feel waking up every day knowing that you are fully committed to being who you're becoming. So here's my challenge to you. After this episode, go to the show notes and answer these questions for yourself. You can journal on them, or take the AI prompt that I have in the show notes and build it out for yourself. Reflect on your answers and start creating a personal agreement, a manifesto for who you are becoming. And if this resonated with you, I would love to hear your thoughts. Share your manifesto and your reflections with me in email or on social media, or maybe even in a review for the show. Thank you so much for tuning into this episode, and I hope you will find this to be powerful.